Hello guys, this is Negacious, and we are back with some more Katawa Shoujo. So, in the last episode, we made our way back to the classroom with what's her name, Hanako, after having tea with Lily, and Hanako was ignored again when we entered the classroom. No one said a word. After that, Muto gives me some advice to figure out something to do after school, and Misha barges in and throws me this list of items I need to fetch for the festival, and they were to be found in the art room. So here I am, and I met a girl with no arms, Rin Tezuka. And now we talked to her a little bit. We also told to her about our arrhythmia, and now we're gonna talk to her some more. So, do you always eat alone or this late? Or do you get the occasional visitor? Visitors? Maybe you are my first occasional visitor, but I don't always eat alone either. Sometimes I eat with a certain person on the roof if she's not horsing around. Who? Emmy? Horsing? She likes to do sports. Yeah, it has to be Emmy. Because Emmy was wearing the gym class uniform. Oh. And that's all I can think of to say. Both of us fall silent again as Rin forks the last bites of her meal to her mouth. I look down at my haul and double check it with Misha's list. It seems I have everything except plywood. So I think I have all the things now. That's very nice for you. Don't feel obliged to stay. I was about to take a nap anyway. You need to do whatever you are going to do with that stuff anyway, right? Or perhaps you like to watch girls sleeping? Yeah, I swear to God if they give me a choice here. I'm not sure what to make of this, but Rin looks serious. Even if I did, I think I'd have to be going. I'll catch you around, Tezuka. You can call me Rin. I feel that our relationship is at this point good enough to warrant this much. I was already turning to make my exit, but she draws me back in. Fine, then I'm Hisao. Then you are. ... Rin looks at me hard in the eyes, but that intimidating feeling you get when someone stares at you isn't there. It's like she's actually not looking at me at all. She blinks a couple of times, and I can't figure out what a pause like this just popped between us out of nowhere. See you later, Hisao. There's something like a tiny smile there on her face, maybe. I quietly back out of the room. As I shut the door in front of my face, I whisper to myself. What an intriguing person. From inside, I hear a muffled, sing-song voice. I heard that! Oh my God, I actually... I actually jumped in my chair. Oh my God. Misha! Stop scaring me like that. Jesus Christ. I know, I'm a scaredy cat. What did she hear? I jump at the sudden appearance of Misha, who I had not heard approaching, despite the completely empty hallway. Well, I did too, so don't worry, Hisao, there's two of us. Somehow she had gotten into jumping distance of me without making a sound. Creepy. It briefly reminds me of Kenji's nutty theory about a global feminist conspiracy. That's the one, global feminist conspiracy. But I pushed that thought aside. And Shizune is there as well. Shizune, standing slightly behind Misha, looks aloof as she couldn't have heard the remark that drew Misha's attention, but Misha is visibly excited.
Now wait, more importantly, who is in there? There's no club meetings today.
She tries to curiously peek past me, even though the door prevents her from seeing anyway. What a klutz. Still, she's kinda cute. Like, both of them are. Like, Misha and Shizune are like... I mean, they're not... I don't know how to, like, describe them. They're fun characters. What are you doing here?
You took so long that we had to come check what's wrong. That's no good, Hichan.
She wags her finger at me scoldingly. Jeez.
I found plywood, but everything else is still missing because you are tardy.
Oh, sorry. I got the things here. He was just going to bring them.
I think you were up to some mischief, Hichan. Who was in there with you, I wonder?
Misha signs something quickly to Shizune, pointing at her own ear a couple of times. Shizune immediately pushes her way past me and opens the door into the classroom I just left. I can only imagine the shock she's experiencing. With Shizune's diligence and attitude, the insolence of daring to deface school property while sleeping on top of it must be too much to bear. And indeed, she stares at Rin, frozen in place apart from the slight but noticeable trembling of her shoulders from suppressed rage, I'm sure. Instead of blowing up, Shizune just takes a few deep breaths, adjusts her glasses, and slams the door shut, turning to sign furiously at Misha. Damn. That's a new sprite. Maybe she did blow up, but I can't understand it. She shoots a very loaded stare at me too, as if it was somehow my fault that Rin was sleeping on one of the tables. I hope she's not getting any funny ideas about the reason of my tardiness.
Hello.
Rin's voice seems to come from the other side of the door, and it takes a few eye blinks to realize she might have trouble opening it. I open the door to find Rin directly behind it, looking at us with a half-interested, half-sleepy face.
Hello. Miss Tezuka! Miss Tezuka! What do you think you are doing? You absolutely are not permitted to use school properly for such, disgraceful activity. It sure is suddenly very crowded in here. I didn't know I was this popular.
But Rin's voice is all over the goddamn freaking place right now for me. I need to figure out something better for her. It's hard to say whether she's happy or unhappy about this turn of events. At any rate, she ignores Shizune's and Misha's scolding, so they have no choice but to drop the issue. Shizune taps Misha's shoulder, points at Rin, and makes some quick signs.
Popularity aside, please do not do that anymore. Anyway, how is your project going? Will it be done for the festival?
Rin looks at them blankly, apparently at ease under the pressure Shizune's cold stare is putting on her.
I keep wondering about that myself too. And? We'll think about it harder.
As Misha signs her reply to Shizune, her face turns into an unsatisfied frown.
Miss Tezuka, please try to take this seriously. It'll be a disaster if the wall looks like someone threw up their lunch onto it.
Ah, Jesus. Water, please. I like Misha, but I hate doing her voice. Rin nods assertively.
We'll think more seriously.
Misha actually giggles at that, but Shizune doesn't, not even after translation. She just shakes her head, takes the materials from me, and takes off with Misha in tow. Rin frowns thoughtfully as she looks after the retreating student council duo. How rude! How rude! Like, this is just a cringe fest right now. It's true though, I must finish my project before the weekend. There will be dire consequences if I don't. I think that kind of like dull voice actually fits her better. The end of the world as we know it. Like weekends usually are, but more dire. Much more dire. Maybe I'll postpone my nap to unforeseen future. I'm about to ask what project she has and what are these apocalyptic consequences, but she walks back into the art classroom. Since you have nothing to do, would you give me a hand? This paint can doesn't fit into my bag, but I need it. She kicks lightly at a huge can of paint that's lying on the floor next to the table she was sitting and sleeping on. It lets out a dull clang. Being the gentleman I am, I naturally pick it up. Heavy. Yeah, sure. Where do you need to take it? Away. And with that, she takes off to the hallway, me and the paint can following since there's little choice for either of us. The hallway is quiet and empty now with Shizune and Misha gone, so we too leave towards the stairwell at the other end. Every 10 or 15 or 20 steps I have to change the can from one hand to another because the thin handle cuts into my palm. At least it keeps my arms from tiring too fast. Rin strolls on beside me with an uneven pace that I have trouble matching, or maybe I am walking weird because of the extra weight. It seems one of us is constantly walking too slow or too fast, and I can't figure out which. 2 flights of stairs below, trouble appears in the form of the head nurse and his fox-like grin. Ah, Miss Nakai, what a happy coincidence. Tezuka too, of course. So good. He nods courteously to Rin, who does not acknowledge him back, then turns to me, because obviously it's me who he had some business with. There's something I forgot to mention on Monday. I nod and wait impassively because I can't even begin to guess what he forgot. The feeling of the handle delving deeper into my skin doesn't make me feel enthusiastic about this interruption either. It's about your medications. Since you haven't been that long on your current medications, there might be some unexpected side effects, which might require adjusting dosages or even changing to another kind of medication. So, we will do a few tests regularly, but what I'd want is for you to keep an eye on everything in your condition that feels off, if you get what I mean. No. Nausea, headache, anything, and come see me if something happens. Alright? So, how are you today? Everything fine? I give up and drop the can to the floor before answering him. Apparently this takes longer than my biceps can handle. I'm about to say something generic as an answer, but then I realize how often I've done that lately. Other people have asked me that too. Teachers and students here, my parents, visitors, nurses, doctors at the hospital. Everyone seems to be concerned about that. It's natural for a hospital, not so much for a school. Except this school. This is a small school, and both the student base and the faculty seem to be very tightly knit. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. And this is not the kind of school that gets transfer students too often. The thought sends shivers up my spine, but I give a generic answer anyway. That's great. Also, one other thing. My sources tell me that you've been at neither the school track nor even the pool, so I'd like to know if you have taken up exercising as I asked. Of course I haven't, but his way of inquiring gives me the feeling that I should have been running my ass off on the track since the very first day. You have people spying on me? Not as such. I just happen to know a few people, but that's not the issue here, so don't try to slip out of it. Well, I was actually just doing some improvised weightlifting as an exercise. I pick up and lift the can up and down a few times, like some sad imitation of a bodybuilder, even though it's weighing down on my arms painfully. The stupid grin disappears from his face for a second, then comes back like it was never gone. Tezuka, would you give us a second? The nurse grabs me by the shoulder without waiting for Rin's permission, which he didn't need in the first place, and drags me aside. When I told you to exercise, I wasn't joking. I understand that you are still in your first week and all, but please don't ignore the importance of this. The reason I'm coming down this hard on you is that habits are not easy to form. The more you slip and postpone, the harder it'll be. It's the same with everything, like dieting. Can you promise me to be more serious about this from now on? Well, I mean, it's not I haven't had a single choice so far that would allow me to choose whether I go to exercise or not. I've usually done everything I can to move around. So let's promise him that yes, we will. Yeah, I promise. Definitely. He studies me for a moment and then shrugs, smiling again. Okay, that's more like it. If you go to the school track tomorrow morning, you'll meet my spy, who probably has no qualms offering consultation to you if you want to go jog for a bit. Is it gonna be Emmy? Consultation? See you around! He leaves with a wave of his hand and no answer, and I walk to Rin, who has been waiting idly leaning against the hallway wall and staring at the pale lighting fixtures in the ceiling. Even when I approach, she doesn't move her eyes off them. Are you getting medication for your heart thingy? Were you listening? It comes as more accusatory than I intended, accidentally lashing out on her. But even so, I don't really want to start talking about it. I just met her. And this is crazy. So I don't know her. It's not her business. The nurse seems to be happily ignorant about confidentiality too, talking about that kind of thing in public. But it's not Rin's fault, is it? I look up at her, suddenly feeling a bit guilty, but Rin is just staring past my shoulder quizzically, her head tilted like a bird's. I don't know why is this so hard for me. It feels like there is some inexplicable lock that prevents me from being more upfront about this. Yeah, they're for my heart. Will they make you better? No, not really. They just make me a little less worse. Rin keeps looking at me for a while longer, and she neither says anything further, nor displays any kind of emotion I could discern. I'm thankful that she doesn't. I think I'm still not quite used to all of this. At the hospital it was easy, but I haven't sorted my feelings about having to live a normal life with disability. We leave the main building and Rin leads us onwards towards the dome. We stop at the small patch of greenery in front of the dome building. Dome is built on a slightly elevated ground, with a wall and a few trees that everyone has to circle around every time they come or go. It's probably the only inconvenient design in the school. The entire wall, made of the same kind of bricks as the building itself, has been covered with some sort of painting. Most of it is still mere sketches, quick lines drawn with black and white against the grey plastering that covers almost the entire length of the wall, but some places look a bit more finished. There are human legs and faces and hands. I can't quite say what the painting as a whole might portray. Stacks of what seem to be paint cans arranged in piles on the ground beside the wall. See, the left side is hardly off the ground yet. It's because I couldn't get in the mood yesterday, so I gave up and went to meditate instead. Then it was suddenly morning. I have to work on it, but the guys from art class are helping with the negative spaces and the base surfaces whenever, which is a problem. It's easy to paint big areas if there are a lot of people with hands. The reach is better and it's faster too. She goes on a tangent of a tangent, waving a little with her arm, or whatever of it there actually is, to demonstrate, even though I got the point already. The white cotton of her sleeve flaps around, and it makes me think it could look sadder than it does. But it makes me feel out of place. Like almost every tangible reminder of the student base's special properties has in these past few days. This girl doesn't notice my dreary feelings, of course, or the fact that she lost me a while ago already, and just keeps on blabbering. So that's why I'm trying to figure out if there is something I need to figure out, and then figure out that before it's too late and all hope is lost. Why would the hope be lost? Because paint has to be painted, and then it has to dry, and then it has to be painted over with another kind of paint. It takes time. She finally stops, apparently thinking she made some kind of statement that makes sense. I think it's best to start from the top. So, this is your project? You did this? Yes, yes. All of it? Yes. Nice, but... I stumble with my words, suddenly feeling like I've walked straight into a minefield of political incorrectness. It's okay, you can say it, I probably won't get mad. I blush really hard. I don't really know what would be the right thing to say, if any. It feels that I'm way more sensitive than Rin is, though. This is really awkward. Don't you want to ask? How do you paint without hands? See, I'm an easy person to talk to, right? With my feet. I almost guessed that already, but isn't that hard to do? You're good at guessing. Anyway, I don't think it is. But maybe I'm used to it by now. I can't get my mind around the fact that... I can't get my mind around the fact that she could be an artist. But seeing how adept she was using her feet to eat, I figure painting might not be a problem for her. Neither of us has anything more to add to the subject. The afternoon light works pretty well. I was afraid it would look too flat, but it's not like that after all. I think it's actually pretty interesting. I want to see what it looks like in dim light. Do you think it's flat? Well, paintings tend to be flat. Not like that flat, you know, flat like some people like some people are. No substance, no meat where there should be some. I know for a few girls who... Okay, I get it. But I couldn't really tell. I'm not that good with art. I can't name many artists or artistic terms. So I really don't have anything to say. Rin shrugs her shoulders at that, saying, "Suit yourself," without saying it, and looks up at the sky as if trying to look for something up there. I didn't think I'd get any actual work done, but if you give me a hand with the paints, I could do a little more before it's dark. I want to get a halogen lamp like the ones they have at the sports track, but there aren't any. The inn sure is quick to recruit my help, as was Shizune. It really makes me feel that the festival is such a big project that every pair of hands is needed. Why not? I'm not really sure if I can be any help though. It's just mixing some paints, you can do that, probably. Do you have a motor control problems like those people who have some? Cerebral palsy, maybe? Not that I know of. I get it. Hard thing has nothing to do with that. She gives me a sly look for no reason. No, it doesn't. Let's do it then. So she sits on an empty wooden box and very naturally picks up a white brush in between the toes of her bare right foot. I open a few of the cans and pour some of the contents into shallow bowls for mixing. The thick paints flow lazily from the can to the bowl, like syrup. I mix them, creating funny, hypnotic-looking swirl patterns that melt quickly into each other to form a new monotone hue. Rin sets to work, every now and then asking me for a hand with something or the other. Finding different brushes is easy enough, but mixing the paints to be the exact tone this girl is apparently seeing in her head is a frustrating ordeal. She wants precision down to the last millimeter before she is satisfied, but her instructions are obscure at best. Okay, I think that's where we're going to drop off this episode of Katawa Shoujo. Thank you guys for watching. So we got to talk a bit more with Rin, but more on the recap in the beginning of the next episode. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to comment down below, hit that like button, and if you want to be the first one to see my videos, hit subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. But regardless, without any further ado, I will see you in my next video. Bye.